Hello and welcome to the Functional Tennis Podcast with me, your host, Fabio. Every week I speak to the big hitters in the world of tennis, both on and off the court, about the game and how we can all get 1% better every day at what we do. As an ex-national team player, I know exactly how tough this can be, so I'm on a journey to get the very best tips and advice from the world of tennis. Last week on the Functional Tennis Podcast, I spoke to Dutch pro tennis player and ATP rank number 35, Talen Griekspoor. It was an extremely popular episode with great feedback from listeners. We spoke about Talen's linear rise to the world's top 40. He was not a spectacular junior. His first ATP Tour title this year, what it's like to play Alcaraz and Sinner, the differences in the futures, challengers and ATP level, and much more. If you're new to the Functional Tennis Podcast or you missed the episode, it's a required listening episode. So get listening as soon as you get the chance. This week on the podcast, I meet now coach but former pro Gianluigi Quinzi. Gianluigi, an Italian, began his tennis career at the very top. He was quickly noticed by Nick Bollettieri at a young age when he played his first junior tournament outside of Italy, and he would go on to win Junior Wimbledon in 2013, where he beat South Korean player that you may know, Hyun Jung, in the final. Gianluigi would turn pro with even bigger expectations from his friends, family, media and tennis world. At 25 years old, after reaching a career high of 142 in 2019, Quinzi would retire due to high expectations and competitive stress. He now works at the Piatti Tennis Centre as a coach. In our conversation, Gianluigi describes how mental challenges, the media attention and pressure was in the early part of his career. We also talk about Gianluigi's work in the Piatti Tennis Centre, and I asked Gianluigi how difficult the transition from junior to pro can be. But first, I want to know how Gianluigi started playing tennis. Take a listen. Hi Gianluigi, welcome to the Functional Tennis Podcast. How are you?
Yeah, everything good.
My biggest fear when speaking to a player, coach, anybody in the world of tennis is when they tell me they're at a futures in the middle of nowhere on hotel Wi-Fi. Always scares me. It's like, no.
My connection is okay, but we try, yes.
It's always a challenge, but there's loads of options. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for jumping on. You were one of the best juniors in the world. You made transition to senior game. Now you're working as a coach under Riccardo Piatti. Plenty to learn here. I think there's plenty of lessons here from your experience, and we've so many parents who have juniors playing that are listening, and coaches that can do with your feedback and your experience also. So I'm excited to get to talk to you. And my first question is, how did you get into tennis?
I get into tennis because my father has a club in Porto San Giorgio. It's a small town that is organized a tournament under 12. It's one of the biggest tournament on clay, like after Aure. Oh, I don't know if you know. Yeah. I mean, yes, and they had passion on tennis, so I was going over there to play tennis a bit, but I was not doing only one sport. I was doing different sports. I mean, because not to focus on one sport. I mean, when you are like young, I mean, it's better to play a lot of sport. And after they see that I was hitting the ball okay, and they try to do some experience, on tennis, and nothing. The strange thing, yes, until 5 to 8, I was in Porto San Giorgio to practice with the coach over there. And after, my father wanted to go to vacation to the States, okay, for 1 week, but he's very patient. He has a lot of passion on tennis. So he did. We went on the States not only on vacation but to play a tournament. Okay. But for me, it was vacation. But I say, come on, I mean, it's vacation. We cannot play tournaments. So, but I mean, it was exhausted to play tournaments. And I was playing the Little Mo.
Oh, yeah.
My first tournament, international tournament was Little Mo. I was 8, okay, and nothing. I won the Little Mo under 10, but I was 8, okay, wow. And nothing. A guy that was very friend of Nick Bollettieri told me, okay, you want to come to Nick to try like a week? And I say, okay, yes. And my tennis adventure start over there.
That's crazy.
The things happens,
Just I just want to throw back a little bit. You were big into skiing, were you, as a young kid?
Yeah, but because my mom, normal. My mother was pretty good. She did Olympics, and yes,
that's pretty good. But how
I was normal. I was decent.
Okay, but how competitive is that underage skiing, like 6, 7, 8 in Italy? Is it absolutely really competitive?
It's a really competitive. Yes. I mean, there are a lot of guys that are doing a lot of skiing, But I mean, skiing it's growing up more and more now.
Okay.
We have a lot of young kids that they ski on that age.
It's crazy. Even Sinner, I know Djokovic did a bit of skiing.
Yeah, Sinner, yeah. But Sinner was 10 times better. I mean, it was Italian championship. I mean, I was skiing because, of course, I mean, for me, it's important that on that age you do a lot of sports. It's not you don't have to be obsessed only in one sport. Because otherwise you go too much on. It's more fun. Yeah, it's more fun.
Yes. And does skiing though help you be a better tennis player? Is there advantages to skiing as a young kid?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know because I mean, for coordination, maybe yes. For coordination, yes. But I mean, I had that talent that I mean, after I don't know when I was playing tennis, after 10 hours of tennis, I was hitting the ball good. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe not. I cannot answer this question. Yeah.
And do you remember the day where you said to your dad, to your mom, "I want to be a professional tennis player"?
Look, I mean, I didn't tell them because I mean, I was, the problem that they decide too much on my tennis career. This was a little bit my difficult things, because I was not that free to decide. But after that, I won the international little more. Okay, I tell to my father and mother, okay, I want to try to play only tennis and I want to try to be a professional player. So that's why Nick Bollettieri gave me a big scholarship over there to stay like 4 or 5 years. And after over there, I said, okay, I want to invest only on tennis, But I was not that guy that could decide, because my father and my mother was a lot of on my career. Okay, so in positive way and negative way.
Yeah, that's very tough. And thanks for being honest. It's hard, people won't normally tell you this. So I didn't know you were in Bollettieri for 4 or 5 years. Was it do you think you could have achieved the same results had you stayed and trained in Italy?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, this junior result. I was having a lot of junior result not because I was playing better than the other one, but I was competing better than the other one. And but I was thinking too much on result. I was not thinking about learning and to improve my game, to win after.
Okay.
So I was thinking too much. On result. I changed a lot of coaches, and some coaches didn't help me to understand these things. They wanted to stay with me because I was winning a lot. And they didn't want to stay with me not because of my to think about a future project. This was, the difficult thing. So that's why I didn't grow up in the tennis part a lot, because I had this mentality to win a lot and not to improving, And okay, some coaches on that period when I was winning a lot, they told me, okay, we have to improve because, okay, now you're winning, but after, it's a little bit difficult if you don't improve your game, And I say, but and my question that was not correct, but I had that mentality was, okay, but why I have to change if I'm winning everything, And this was my, my difficult thing after when I didn't become top 100 because I became 150. Good like this, but after you need something else, And after when you become like 19, 20, 21, you don't have this mentality, to change things, And, and when you're thinking too much on result, you are tired mentally when you become 19 and 20. This was the things, I had a lot of pressure on, a lot of pressure on the media of Italy. I had a lot of pressure of maybe my coaches. I had a lot of pressure of friends and everything. So when we are 15, 16, you cannot divide these things, Of course, if I had this mentality now, it was a little bit better, but it's not easy.
So do you say you were too focused short term? You just wanted to win the next tournament, win the next tournament. And obviously coaches wanted that as well because it makes them look good. And I can see how hard. I think the longer you have a coach, that sort of comes more natural, doesn't it? Rather than if you change your coach all the time, they want results. It's hard to get to buy in the long-term play.
Yeah.
And tell me, when did you start actually feeling pressure?
After that, I won Wimbledon.
Just changed everything, did it?
Yeah, I changed a lot because when I won Wimbledon, okay, I won an unbelievable tournaments, but was not the end of my career, you know. But over there was like, okay, now you have to be like Nadal, you know. And I won at 17, and I remember the first challenger they played in Porto Recanati. I mean, it was 4,000 people watching me, and I mean, all the media, all the television coming. I mean, it was a little bit difficult for me to handle all these things, you know, because okay, I win important tournaments, but I mean, I didn't win anything, you know, important for the future, you know, and it was difficult for me to handle that pressure a lot, you know.
And were your parents helping you? Were they pushing? Were they driving you as well?
Yeah, there was. I mean, you know, parents sometimes they do what is good for you. You know, I mean, sometimes you know, I mean, they like that. I mean, the son win. This is for sure. I mean, the more important thing is. If results are coming, they're very happy. If results are not coming, they're not very happy. But the problem that, the problem is not correct, you know, because I mean, my father never watched a match, you know, of me because he was a little bit, you know,
Nervous.
nervous like this. So he didn't know what was going on in tournaments and everything. He was watching only results and see, okay, result is good. Okay, good. If result is bad, nothing. So, I mean, you know,
Yeah, not ideal.
sometimes if you don't understand the profession of tennis, it's not easy.
And did the Italian Federation help you at all? Were they, did you have a sports psychologist or any help from them?
No. Federation helped me a lot, for sure. I had a lot of psychologists, okay, for sure. But I mean, maybe I didn't find the right person to understand these things, you know. Because of course, if you are 14, 15, 16, and you are around people with this mentality, is not easy to change, you know, because I mean, you absorb everything.
So are you saying you weren't quite open to change, or?
I was not quite open to change because I didn't have the right person to, I mean, you know, to tell me, okay, you have to change these things, you know.
Yeah, what's it like trusting? Like, you always say, like, the better you are, you know, people have a very closed inner circle. It's hard to let people in. But was it hard for you to build trust with people? You know, all of a sudden you've this fame and people are reaching in. Was that really tough trying to build trust and find out who's genuine and who's not?
Yeah, for sure. Because I told you, I had a lot of people that was staying with me because I was Quincy, you know, not because stayed with me because I was like a good person, you know, and it was only for convenience, you know. I don't know how to say in English.
They're using you, they could say.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not, I mean, it's not easy. If you have people around like this, when you are 14, 15, you're not that mature to understand, you know, to change your mentality. What I mean, my feel, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's tough.
Yeah, and you're not you're not. I mean, independent. Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, you have to listen to people, you know. But of course, now if they tell me this is going into my 1 year and is going out to the other year, you know. But okay, I didn't have this mature when you are 15, 16, but nobody.
Fascinating to listen to Gianluigi. So few people go through what he has. Sport isn't just a physical battle, it's a psychological one as well, especially tennis. The experience Gianluigi has from learning to deal with the pressure and the importance of building the right team could help the next Djokovic or Nadal fulfill their potential when they otherwise might not have. That's why he's such an asset to the Piatti Tennis Centre. This is just a quick reminder you're listening to the Functional Tennis Podcast, the podcast that helps you get 1% better every day with me, Fabio Molly. Coming up on the podcast, we talk about Gianluigi's work at the Piatti Tennis Centre, and I asked Gianluigi how difficult the transition from junior to pro can be. Gianluigi also explains why focusing on winning too much early in your career can have a negative impact on your development. But first, I want to ask Gianluigi about what advice he has for juniors now when it comes to dealing with pressure that success can bring. We're going to talk more about your work now. You're working at the Piatti Tennis Centre. When you see a kid who has potential, boy or girl, what's the main piece of advice you give them from those lessons you learned as a junior and that pressure, expectation after winning?
They don't have to think about what they told you before. They don't have to think about result, but they have to put quality and they have to have discipline to work very hard. For me now it's important that now kids that I have, I want to learn them the profession of tennis. So they can, so they arrive with good energy when they become 19, 20, 21. And for me, on tournaments, is like a practice week.
Okay.
Yes, because for me it's important that they work hard and they train hard, not only if they lose or they win, but I want that they go on tournament, win, losing, they put quality on work,
Nice.
So this is the most important things, and not thinking too much on result. I know that result is important because it's motivated you to practice better, for sure, but it's not the priority. Priority for me is they learn and educate themselves to understand different,
Yeah, that's it's really interesting, but I'm sure it's a tough sell anyway because everybody wants to win. And
It's not easy. It's not easy, but I want to, yes. And the things that I work a lot with my kids to anticipate what's happening, because I was feeling these things, because now they want to rush a lot with the result. They want to win a lot, but I want to anticipate them what they have to do on the future, so they're not going in frustration. They don't pretend too much.
So you're trying to build patience into their life, into their game.
Yes. On tournament, on practice weeks and everything. So they put energy and they don't waste time in other things,
Well, I'm sure it just means if they have a bad day or a bad session or a bad week or pick up an injury, they know there's a long-term plan there.
Yeah, it's a long-term trade. They don't have to think in the short period, but in long period, This is important, the most important thing.
Pressure aside, how hard is the transition from junior to senior player? Like, we get a lot of, all juniors, I see so many that want to be the best at certain ages, and we always say that's no guarantee. In your case is a big example of this. The best junior in the world, didn't make the top 100. How hard is it, pressure aside?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, pressure, it's a lot. It's not. It's not easy to handle these things. It's not easy to handle these things. For me, you can improve this thing when you are young. When you're getting older, it's difficult, because if you have good people, good person, good team that understand, that they understand your goals and they believe on your future career, it's more easier than after.
Okay.
For me, it's important that if you have good people when you're 14, 15, 16, it's more easier when you become after 19, 20, 21. Because for me, when you are 15 to 20, you have to think different,
And maybe give us an example of one or two things where you were wasting energy thinking about that should have been done when you were 14, 15.
When you're 14, 15, I tell you, winning. For me was difficult. It's this is the things: winning, only winning, And I was not thinking to improve my game.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I can see the pressure in the head, And so you tried you were 25 when you retired from the game. So you tried for 6-7 years. You gave it a good effort. And did you feel your game? Did you always struggle with that winning thing and you were fighting yourself all the time? Or was there other stuff? Was your game just not good enough?
No. I like I tell you before, I was winning because I was competing better than the other one. But for me to build a player, you cannot build a player when he's 19, 20, because he has different mind like this. You have to build a player with techniques, with stroke like this when you are 15, 16 like this, So you have 3-4 years to build a player physically, technically like this, and after on 19, 20, he can go to the next step,
So you're saying you missed the train, really, and
yeah, for sure.
Couldn't catch the speeding bullet train.
This was the things, because when you're thinking too much on result after when you have to do the transition to juniors to professional, you don't have you are tired mentally.
I've heard enough from players who are good juniors where, if you compete better, you're going to win matches, because juniors, some of them mentally, they're not great at all.
Yeah, because what they tell you, junior, you put the ball in the court, you miss less than the other one, okay, you win.
But when you get to seniors, everybody's a competitor. Everybody's fighting for their life. So that's just what you need. Without that, you're not going anywhere.
For sure. But yes, you need the right person. You need the right, for sure. When you're that young, you cannot decide, for sure you need the right team. You have to have the right person that they go in one way,
Yeah.
Because if they go to different way, I mean, you get confusing, and after you getting tired, when you're getting tired, you cannot be fresh mentally to understand what is going on.
And you lose the fire as well.
For sure. And after is more difficult. When you become after 18, it's more difficult to change.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically or technically, because you say, okay, now, I mean, what I'm going to do.
So you retired. How long was that decision in your mind, for like a year, or did it just come in and finish today?
I mean, I stopped because my goals were too far. I had a lot of up and downs with my ranking. I had a lot of injuries, and I didn't have more passion. I was not convinced anymore on my goals, And it happens that I was very tired, So in the last 2 years, I was playing tennis because I was thinking that I have to play tennis, not because I wanted to play tennis with goals, So I decided to stop because I don't want to waste time, because I'm young, so I don't want to waste time. So, I mean, nothing. Now I wake up in the morning and I'm very happy. I have more responsibility because I have young players to improve them, to learn my experience like this. But yes, I like what I'm doing. Before was things in the last couple of years, I was playing with no sense,
At least you ended on your terms. And you took it takes, like, there's plenty of players who play the futures and challengers for until they're 35. So that was a brave decision. Gianluigi, thank you very much. That was a really honest, open chat. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much for this interview.
That's the end of the show for today. Thank you, Gianluigi, for being so honest and insightful, and of course for coming on the show. You can follow Gianluigi on Instagram at gianluigi.quinzi, and you can learn more about the Piatti Centre by visiting their website at thepiattitenniscentre.it. Thank you all for listening. Next week on the podcast, I speak to leading sport and performance psychologist Amanda Jane Napier-Owens. She's been working in the area for 25 years. She was a former UK pro tennis player. We talk about how to insert pressure into practice, how to deal with pressure situations, mood, emotions, and so many areas around the sports psychology world. It's an interesting chat, and I can't wait to share it with you. Just a few quick notes before we go. Make sure to follow the show so you get automatically notified about new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. If you would like to learn more about me or the work we do at Functional Tennis, visit our website at functionaltennis.com. You can also follow the show on Instagram at the Functional Tennis Podcast, and with me on Twitter, FabMall. This podcast is produced by One Fine Play. James Bishop is the executive producer. Connor Foley is the series producer. I've been your host, Fabio Molle. Thanks for listening to the Functional Tennis Podcast.